Hello guys, this is Jeffrey. I am going to, in this tutorial, walk you guys through some basic flow control. In Java, flow control, in fact in any programming language, flow control is anything that allows you to control what parts of a program function based off of the state of the program. So the state of the program, I believe I mentioned previously, is determined based almost entirely on the values of variables inside that program. So in this case, these three integers are part of the program's state. Based on those integer values, I can determine which of these statements I want to function. So there are three ways of doing flow control in Java. The most common one by far is going to be the if statement. The if statement is going to take a boolean expression, and if that boolean expression evaluates as true, it's going to run what comes after it. If not, it'll either pass it on to the next else if in the chain, or it just simply doesn't execute any more of that code. The else if and else serve to function if the statements preceding them did not function. So in this case, after the first if this value, if a is not equal to b, it's going to test to see if a is less than b. And if a is less than b, it's going to run this statement. Otherwise, it's going to run this final statement. In else, if I don't put an if after this, if I don't have anything there, just a plain else means that it's the default what you do if none of the above conditions happen. So in this case, what's going to happen here is the first thing it does is say, hey, is a equal to b? And a is 1, b is 2. So no, it's not going to happen. But a is less than b, so it's going to print this out. And in that case, it's not going to print out the default because one of the above statements already happened. Notice that in this case, it would be redundant for me to say if a is less than b and not a equals b, because you already know that a is not equal to b because this if statement failed. There's no need to put the second condition in there. That's why chaining if with else if is really, really nice. And just to show you guys that example, you can see it does indeed print out a is less than b. I can probably get rid of this print statement. That's if. That's really all it is. You can put any programming statements in here, inside the brackets, and that's all it is. It's really fairly simple. The next sort of statement is a switch statement. It's basically the same as if, it just has a funkier syntax and a few idiosyncrasies which can be incredibly useful at times. So what switch does is it actually takes a integer as a parameter, not a boolean expression. It's kind of unique in that way. So in this case, it's taking a, and it's saying basically have a list of ways to act depending on the value of that variable a. So in this case, it has everything divided into cases. So in the case that case 0 means in the case that a is 0, do whatever is in those in those brackets. Case 1 means if a is 1, do whatever is in those brackets, etc. Default is the same thing as this else we saw right here. It's what happens if none of the above statements occur. The one thing you'll notice here though is that all these break lines, what the break says is basically stop executing at this point. If I took out the break statements here and a had a value of 0, which I'm going to give it for the sake of this example, the case 0 would function and every case after that would function. The break there says don't let that happen. But some cases you'll actually want that to happen. So you can see right now, if I run this, it's going to print out a is 0. If I take out these breaks and I run that again, it is going to say a is 0, a is 1, and a is neither 0 nor 1. Which in this case, a is actually 0 the entire time. But the idea is that the program actually, what they would call, they call it fall through, or it falls through all of these cases here, which can be useful at times. Just so you know, this last break here is just something I feel like putting there because I just feel like impelled to put break after everything on switch unless I want fall through. You don't have to put that there. That's purely stylistic, and there's not a huge purpose for it. So that's the basics of switch. nothing too complicated. The one thing, and I love, this is probably one of my favorites, is ternary, because it's super concise. All it says is based off of the value of a boolean or boolean expression, you can assign a value to a given variable. So in this case, what this statement says is if D is true, then f has a value of 1. If D is false, then f has a value of 2. The easiest way to generalize this would be type, where type could be any data type. Value equals boolean, and I could even say boolean expression true : false. So what happens is if the boolean expression is true, then value gets assigned whatever you put here in the true case. If this is false, it gets the value of whatever is in this false case. Notice you can, if you feel like annoying people who are reading your code, nest ternary statements. Where in this case, to go back up to this previous example right here, you could say, instead of 2, you can say, well, hey, let's see, you could, not D, let's use that, 3 : 4. Or something along these lines. Why do I have an error right here? Oops. Oh, well, that's not good. Anyway, confusing myself with this. It is a confusing syntax when you nest it. You can nest it, but it's confusing and hard to read. I would advise you against that typically, but I would not advise against using ternary for a simple statement like this because it saves you a lot of code. Whereas you would have had to write an if and an else if to assign that. Now you can just write in one line. So I appreciate that a lot. But yeah, that's all it is. That's all that flow control is. So I will say thank you for watching and goodbye.